What's up, good people? It's Tiffany Tayus, the tax sale expert. Look, this is Black History Month, and I decided to take the time to dedicate this series to all the pioneers who have paved the way for a lot of us to be able to be working within our passions within the real estate market. Now, I am going to focus on past and current pioneers have may not been recognized or may have been forgotten, but I am going to recognize you guys this month for 2025, and thank you for paving the way for each and every one of us. Okay, y'all, so the first person we're going to discuss tonight is Mr. Philip A. Payton Jr. He's also known as the father of Harlem. So Mr. Payton, he was born in 1876. He had two brothers and one sister. His father was a barber, and when he was young, him and his two brothers used to go to the barber shop so the dad can teach them how to cut hair, how to become a barber. But their mother, she really wasn't feeling that. She was telling the husband basically like, look, I think this will make lazy men of them, because we want our boys to do something manual labor type things. Back then, being a barber was lightweight type work, but the mother wasn't feeling it. But the dad was like, no, they finna learn this trade. They finna do this. You feel me? And his exact words was, the knowledge of being a barber won't be a burden to carry. And when they become men, they won't be compelled to follow it if they have sense enough to do anything else. I said, okay, Dad, go on, let them cut the hair. Let them learn, right? So Philip and his two brothers was in the barbershop with their dad, learning how to become barbers, learning how to cut hair. And so basically, as they became older, Philip's two brothers, both of them graduated from college. They went to Yale. And they also have a sister. She also went to college, and she graduated from the college that became known as Westfield State University. Okay? So all of his siblings went to college and got degrees except for Philip. Philip, he decided to go to New York. And while he was in New York, he became a barber. He was working at a barbershop, right? But soon after that, he decided to get a job at a real estate company out in Manhattan, and he was the janitor. Now, shortly after him and a buddy of his decided to open up a real estate company, which only means Philip, even though he was cleaning up, he was learning a lot while he was working down there at that Manhattan real estate office, right? Okay, I don't blame you, Philip. Now, a few months after they opened up, I think the name of it was called Midtown Real Estate Office. A few months after they opened this office, it failed. It flopped, and they wasn't making no money. It didn't work. And so for a while, Philip was without a job. His wife was basically taking care of them. She was doing sewing jobs in the city. And so she basically helped out and, took care of the family until Philip found some more work, right? Philip and his wife, her name is Maggie, they both decided to move to Harlem. Once they got to Harlem, they realized it was a lot of vacancies, a lot of apartments and homes that were vacant. And these were new brownstones. And they started to notice that the white landlords who owned these brownstones was having more success with getting black tenants in their units. And Philip saw that as an opportunity. You feel me? He just left the real estate firm that didn't do well for him. But Philip decided to position himself to be the go-between for the white landlords with the brownstones and being able to get black tenants coming from the Midtown area up to Harlem. So he acted as the go-between, as the middleman. You feel me? I say, I don't blame you, Philip. You got to find a way to make some money, right? So with that being said, Philip, in order for him to put himself in this position, what happened is two of the white landlords started beefing really bad. I don't know what they got into it about, but they were beefing really bad. And Philip partnered with one of those particular landlords where the landlord allowed Philip to manage one of his properties as long as he keeps it filled with tenants. And Philip was like, yeah, that's right up my alley. I got this. And he did. He did it so well that the other landlords in the area was asking for Philip's help. Now, originally, that landlord wanted Philip to fill those units up with black tenants so that the other landlords would have problems occupying their properties with white tenants. Now, during this time, when a lot of the white people, they left the Harlem area, and Philip, he was steady filling these properties up with black tenants, and he was very successful at this. He was so successful at this that Philip himself purchased a property of his own. You understand? He was able to purchase properties, and he started his second real estate company, and that real estate company was called Afro-American Realty. Now, this particular company seems to be doing Philip very well because he the man in Harlem, you feel me? He bringing all the black people to the city, back all the black people to the Harlem district area. Now, I'm reading because I took some notes, so give me a second, guys, okay? Now, Philip, he was looking for black investors because this is a time where it was very difficult for black people to get housing. You feel me? So with those investors, he was telling them that today is the time to buy if you want to be numbered among those of the race who are doing something towards solving the so-called race problem. He was touching on those pain points, right? And he basically told them, he had a whole brochure and everything, guys. The brochure said, race prejudice is a luxury, and like all other luxuries, can be very expensive in New York City. This very prejudice, which has been worked against us, can be turned and used to our profit. Okay, so now he got his investors, everybody doing good, right? Everyone's doing good. But what happens is that the Afro-American Realty Company have about 24 buildings that they're mortgaging out and leasing, and basically turning Harlem into a magnet for black families throughout the city in the rural South. Okay, so they basically doing their thing. But the company, to those investors, it promised them a 10% profit, and it was unable to meet it for the deadline that he originally set. So he was gonna, even though they have these buildings occupied, renting, and filled with tenants, the deadline he said was too short and he wasn't able to make it. Which means a lot of investors in 1906, they sued him. They sued him and his company failed. It failed very badly. And so Philip, he's trying to figure out what it is that he has to do because this is his passion. This is what he wants to do, right? So basically, Philip, a third time round, he decided to open up another real estate company. And in 1917, his real estate company was called Philip A. Payton Jr., okay? And he was able to close on his biggest deal. His biggest deal was a 6-apartment house worth more than $1 million. That was his biggest deal ever. And this was his third go round at this particular business. So basically, Philip was learning along the way, as we all should, right? And so even in recent years, Mr. Payton has been remembered as the father of Harlem. Like I said, before he arrived, most of the black residents were servants in wealthy white households in that particular area, okay? Now, his own ambition, along with racism in the housing market, was a glut of unsold homes in Harlem, and it pushed three quarters of the New York City's black population to Harlem by the end of his life, including those who would usher in the Harlem Renaissance in 1920. Now, during this interview that Philip was doing with a newspaper, he stated to them that All of his friends discouraged him from getting into the real estate market. They discouraged him, and they told him that he couldn't make it. That they tried to convince him that there was no room for a colored man in such a business in New York. You understand? Look, good people, I just want to dedicate this video to Mr. Payton, because there is room for us in whatever industry that it is. My industry is real estate, and his effort and his failures and the fact that he continued to keep trying only pushes me to go harder. So Mr. Philip A. Payton Jr., thank you so much for paving the way for me and for so many others.